Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's lesson. My name is Justa. I was with you last week, and we went through the Mukasa English Paper 1. It was just a prediction of what we are expecting to find in the national exam. And we were trying to see our best reactions in regard to the paper, the expectations of the examiner, the appropriate register that the examiner expects from you, how to phrase your answers. We were trying to coach ourselves in those ways, and I bet we made some progress. So today we have another paper. I shared yesterday the paper that we're going to look at today. And as we are preparing for the functional writing, we are expecting quite a number of we're expecting quite any writing can be brought, any writing can come, but we are basically trying to get to as many questions as possible so that we can be able to find, okay, like do training on how we interpret the questions. The other time we discussed the issue of format and language. And language, I'm not so much worried about it. Format, there may be a little bit of, some of us who are yet to get to know, understand all the format of all the functional writings that we've done so far, that we are expecting or anticipating. But then now the main point is on the interpretation of the question, content mark, and usually that is where a candidate is likely to mess or to leave some tiny details. So what we are going to do basically is just continue with looking at the paper like we had the other time, and then we can try today and discuss what are the expectations of the examiner in this particular question. Now, the question is a letter. We all know the format of a letter. It goes, I think that is very easy for most everybody. But in this case, you realize that the format may be like a third of the total marks, about 4 maybe. And the other 16 marks we have to share between language and the content. So we have to struggle and ensure that we have maximum marks in content. The question reads, you are the chairperson of the drama club in your school. The club has staged a successful dramatization of The Samaritan by John Lara at your school. You now want to take the performance to 3 other schools in your sub-county. The principal is offering the school bus, but he or she wants you to look for a sponsor who would pay for the fuel and other related expenses. You decide to contact Transparency Now, an NGO that advocates for good governance and fights corruption. Write a letter to the director of the NGO and request sponsorship for these performances. Briefly explain why you think the Samaritan presents a strong argument against bad governance and why it is important for students and the wider community to watch it. You remember to write the letter, of course, through the principal. Now, in this particular question, the first thing we look at is the format. How are marks distributed in the format? Now, the first and the most important thing, of course, at this point is the format, and it should take the format of a formal letter. So we are expecting a formal letter. Any other thing that you're going to bring that will be treated as a wrong format, and it is going to be deducted some marks. The tone, again, should be formal. So if you don't use a formal tone, like you start addressing the director by his name, then we are going to deduct another 1 mark again. So what is important is that we use a very formal tone because we are seeking for help. Now the format, we have the sender's address. For you to score full marks, that half a mark, It doesn't come so easily. So for you to score the half a mark, you must get right the name of the institution, then of course the postal address for you to be able to score half a mark. You skip a line and then write the date in full. And remember, we have gone through this, how you present your date. For example, we can say 14th of August, 2025. And then the recipient's address, we are writing to the director of the name of the NGO is Transparency Now. So we are writing to the director, Transparency Now. You can come up with, of course, your address, postal address, PO box, and all that. Then we skip another line. Then we write through, because the question tells us that we are writing this letter through the principal. This is the 3-address letter that you have already done in your class. This is just a question that is testing on that. I know you've already done such a letter. So there's, of course, now through the principal, then the name of the institution, and the postal address. Salutation, it is dear sir, dear madam, dear sir stroke madam. And then the reference is a request for sponsorship. Now, in this letter, for you to score that half a mark, it is a request. The word request must appear. The word request must appear. That is what the examiner will look for. There's no other way for you to put it. It is a request. This is a letter of request. So you need to write a request for sponsorship. As we are finishing on the format, then there's of course the signing of the closing tag or the signature, and it should be in that order for you to score half a mark. It is yours faithfully, you sign, and then you write your 2 names, and then the designation. For you to be able to score full marks, you also write the designation. Let's go back to the question. You've been told you are the chairperson of the drama club. So in your designation, you need to mention that to us, that you're the chairperson of the drama club. So for you to score then the half a mark, after you have written yours faithfully, then signed, written your 2 names, John Kimani, chairperson drama club, that's when you're going to score 1 mark. Sorry, not half, but 1 mark. You're not going to, okay, just write all that in that same order. The instruction is deny if any item is missing or if the order is not observed. So you have to be very keen. These are the tiny details that sometimes you assume, and then they end up costing you marks. So you have to be very keen on that. Okay, I'll take a question.
What document are you using?
Sorry?
What document are you using?
What do you mean by document?
What are we referring, like, what is the paper that we're using?
The paper was sent yesterday. The question is up there. Can you see it?
You're not sharing?
I'm sharing, actually. I don't know why you're not able to see it. I'm sharing my screen. What are you able to see on my screen?
It's blank.
Really?
Let me see.
Can you see it? The functional
Yes,
writing?
blank.
You are the chairperson of the drama club. You don't have that on your screen? And now the format?
No.
I don't know. I don't know why you're not able to see. Let me stop sharing and share again. See whether there'll be a change.
Okay.
I'm getting confirmation
It's fine.
from your teacher that it's actually you're able to see it.
It's fine.
So
It's fine
maybe
now.
okay. Yeah, so now I was saying now in regard to this paper, I shared it yesterday with your teacher, and I'm sure it was sent, so you should be having it now. Okay, now let us move on. So as far as now the format is concerned, I'm saying that there are those key details. For example, when you're writing the date, 14th of May, comma, 2025. Now, it may seem as if it is a very simple detail, but if you don't write it in, with those specifics, then you're not going to score that half a mark. When you're sending off again, if you don't follow that order, then you're going to lose again another mark. So these things are very simple. Remember, paper one is a paper on etiquette. It's all about etiquette in paper one. So when you miss on those fine details, then you lose marks. So you have to be very keen when you're tackling this question. Okay, now let us go back to the question again as we tackle the content. The main thing here is that this is the drama club of your school. Let's say it is Mangu High School. Now, the club has staged a successful dramatization on John Lara's The Samaritan. Now, you want to take this performance to 3 other schools in your sub-county. For example, in Juja sub-county, we want to take it to Gashororo Secondary, we want to take it to Juja Secondary, we want to take it to, I don't know, another school in Juja County, Nyasava. Those are 3 schools. So we want to take this performance to 3 other schools in the sub-county. Now, the principal of the school has offered us a bus. But then he wants us to look for somebody who is going to pay for the fuel and other related expenses. Now, that is a trick, other related expenses. You must mention at least 2 because it's already in plural, other related expenses. So you are expected as now a candidate to come up with at least 2 other expenses that may need somebody to sponsor or to fund. Now you have decided that now who is going to cater for fuel and these other at least 2 expenses. You have decided to contact this NGO. It's called Transparency Now. It advocates for good governance and fights against corruption. Now we are writing this letter to the director. We are requesting for sponsorship for these performances. Performance at Nyasava, performance at Gashororo Secondary, at Juja Secondary. Then, in that letter, apart from us detailing the expenses that we want the NGO to cover, we have to explain, because we need to convince them, we have to explain why we think that the Samaritan presents a strong argument against bad governance and why it is important for the students and the wider community to watch that play. That is the content. It is a little bit very concrete there. So we have to make sure we follow exactly. Now, this is how marks will be distributed there. You have to introduce yourself by name or title, your name and title. Actually, just give your name and title. What is your name? Remember, the director of Transparency Now doesn't know you. So you have to introduce yourself. My name is John Kimani. I'm the chairperson of Drama Club in Mangu High School. That is what will you earn you half a mark. So if you just say that it is still okay if you said I am the chairperson of Drama Club in Mangu High School, that is okay. But we have to mention who we are. So if you don't introduce yourself in the letter, again, you lose that half a mark in your total for the content. That is the reason for writing the letter. The word request must be there. The word request must be there. It is just like the way you're going to find letters of invite, and the word invite must be there. It's just like, or like when you're writing letters of apology, and the word apology must be there. If you're writing the letters of reply, you have to say you're replying to something. If it's a letter of inquiry, we have to see you saying you're inquiring or you want to inquire. So we have again to write here and say that we are requesting for sponsorship of dramatization of John Lara's The Samaritan. So just that phrase alone, you saying that you're writing to request for sponsorship for the dramatization or performance of drama or staging the play John Lara's The Samaritan, that earns you half a mark. So no matter how much grammar you use there, if you don't address this issue of why you're writing, then you don't score half a mark. Then mention that you are already staged at school and that it was successful. You staged this performance at school and that it was already successful. It is important that you mention that. That alone is going to give you 1 mark. And then now we mention that we want to take the performance to 3 other schools. We performed at Mangu High School and it was a success. Now we want to take these performances to these 3 other schools You cannot again be vague and say to 3 other schools. We have to mention the schools for you to score that one a mark. We want to take these performances now to Gashororo Secondary, to Juja Secondary, and Nyasava Secondary. The principal has already offered us a school bus, but we need to fuel. That is 1 mark, as the question had given us. Now, we have to specify then at least 2 other expenses, e.g., lunch, props or costumes, certificates or trophies. You can come up with, you at least come up with 2 other, at least 2. That means you cannot, if you just write 1, you are not going to score half a mark. There should be at least 2 for you to score, and they should, of course, be relevant. Whatever you're saying, it must be relevant to the performances. Then now we have to explain how the Samaritan is against corruption and bad governance. We have 2 marks for that, because we are trying to convince transparency now why it is important that we stage this book. Now, we have to give at least 2 harmful effects of corruption and bad governance that have been mentioned in the play. I think you know already what the Samaritan play is all about, and you have information that you can write here. What are the effects of corruption? Surely, even from the skit by Alvita and Montano, you can draw your illustrations there. What happens when there's corruption, when there's bad governance? You know, the drought, no drugs in hospitals, the suffering of the people and all that. You have to mention all that, and then now say why the community needs to know or to see this play as they prepare perhaps for elections. They know the leaders they are to vote for. You have to convince them that the community needs to hear, the community needs to watch these, and that's how you score your 2 marks. So in content mark, you've seen how it is distributed. What happens when it comes to a letter is that most candidates just begin by writing without actually responding to what the question will talk about. I'm sure some of you may have not even introduced themselves in this letter. It is important that you take your time to understand the question very clearly. You are not writing to somebody who knows you. These are different institutions, and you are writing a letter of request, so you have to begin by introducing yourself. And then also, it is mandatory you mention the name request in this case. Okay, now as far as language is concerned, I will ignore the D category and perhaps begin with C, although I don't think we have a C here. Even if it is there, maybe a C plus. There's that lack of confidence in language use, where I use very simple sentences with a lot of grammatical errors. That has been, there are some scripts that, 1 or 2 that you may see there. You have to make sure that you use a language that, more practice in your language, so that you know how to construct a variety of sentences, both simple, compound, and complex sentences, and use your language well. Group B, where we may have a majority, is 5 to 6 marks. Communicate fluently with ease of expression, well-constructed sentences. You are able to punctuate your work. There's a comma, a full stop, an exclamation mark, and the spelling is good. You don't misspell simple words. And of course, use of vocabulary. There may be some errors here and there, but the errors the examiner is going to assume them. As long as there's vocabulary and punctuation, the better part of the writing is done well. Those small errors, the examiner will overlook them. Then there's the A category, where all of us now should be focusing to be in. That is in scoring either 7 or 8 marks. Here you express yourself with a lot of ease. There are no errors of punctuation, no errors in spelling and grammar ideas, very clever use of vocabulary, maturity in language use, and of course there's that definite spark. From paper 3, by now you've learned those merit ticks. Merit ticks are also awarded marks in the functional writing. Maturity in language use, the way you even construct your sentences, your diction, your choice of words, clever use of vocabulary. You don't have to use cliches. You can use grammar with a lot of ease and without struggling. That one, or guys, it's all about practice. The more you practice, of course, the more you are going to get the edge of it. Now we're going to read this narrative here, and then we'll respond to some questions. Read the narrative below and answer the questions that follow. This question one in oral skills, you have to be very keen and ensure that you harness it so that you get maximum marks. This question will always carry sometimes even 11 marks, 8 marks, 9 marks. You have to be very keen with this question. This is the question on performance. So we have to do a lot of practice so that we know this is not a question that is not going to trouble you at all. Now, the narrative, the question is for you to read the narrative below and then answer the questions that follow. One afternoon, a big wolf waited in the dark forest for a little girl to come along carrying a basket of food. Finally, the little girl came along, and she was carrying the basket of food. Are you carrying the basket to your grandmother? Asked the wolf. The little girl answered, Yes, I am. So the wolf asked the girl where her grandmother lived. When the girl told him, he disappeared to the woods. When the little girl opened the door to her grandmother's house, she noticed there was somebody in bed with a nightcap and a nightgown. She realized that it was the wolf. So the little girl took a dagger from her basket and stabbed the wolf to death. To death. Not to death, some grammatical errors there. Now, if you were narrating this story, how would you ensure your audience remains glued to it? We are going to look at this question and then see a different way that this question could have been asked and see whether you're comfortable with how you can answer this question very comfortably. Of course, there's how you would ensure you remember this question can come. The last time in the Malina exam, your question was how you would capture the attention of the audience. I would walk to the stage, clearing my throat loudly. I would walk to the stage, perhaps whistling, then we said about using riddles and whatever, but in a, excuse me, you contextualize. Now, the question here is not how you would capture the attention, but how you would maintain that attention. Because it is easy to capture, but then lose the attention of the audience along the way if you don't deliver well. Now, in this particular short story that we've just read, how will we ensure that the audience maintains that attention that we captured at the beginning? That's why the question is asking, how would you ensure your audience remains glued to it? We don't lose them. So the first point, and again, remember here we have to mention both verbal and non-verbal. It goes without saying, guys. So I would make use of mimicry by mimicking the wolf's deep hoarse voice. I would make use of tonal variation by using a rising intonation while saying the words of the wolf. Are you carrying the basket to your grandmother? It's a rising intonation. And I would use a falling intonation while saying the words of the girl. Yes, I am. I would also dramatize the wolf's disappearance to the woods with short, quick steps. So we have contextualized and we have shown. It is by, of course, this answer can have more answers when you talk of the gestures that you would use and where you would use those gestures. But then we must always contextualize and say where we would use those, where we are going to use the whatever feature that you're going to use to enhance your performance to make sure that the audience remain glued to it. Remember again in this question, it can now be asked if you were narrating this story to children of class 1, class 2, how would you ensure that they remain glued to the story? Now that's a bit different. When you're telling stories to children in these performances, you ensure that you involve them perhaps through songs. Children don't like long narratives. So if you bring long narratives, you bore them. Again, if it is just you who is talking, again, you bore them. So you involve them through songs and you allow them to finish your statements. So that question can come in two different ways. Somebody wants to ask a question here. Let's see whether he's able to. I'm trying to unmute him, but I don't know whether it's by mistake. He has to accept to be unmuted. Even if I click here and you don't accept. Nate, somebody called Nate. All right. It seems he's not accepting the unmute. Nate, I am trying to unmute you, but you're not accepting the unmute button, so then you're not able to speak. Let me try somebody else, somebody whose hand is up. Or perhaps Jane can help us unmute him to ask a question. Ask the question. You didn't have a question? Your hand was up. You didn't your hand was up, but seems you don't have a question. Okay. Let us proceed then to the next question. How would you say the lines of the wolf and the little girl in your narration? That's a very easy one. How would you say the wolf's words would I would say the wolf's words with a rising intonation because it is a yes or no question. And I would also say in a deep hoarse voice and a pointing gesture. The pointing gesture would come because it says,
Yes.
are you carrying the basket to your grandmother? So you would be pointing at the basket. So that's for the wolf. Yes. Then we go to how would you say the girl's words? The girl's words, you would say them in a falling intonation because it is a statement and in a shrill voice. So it is 1 mark for the wolf and 1 mark for the girl. And you have to explain that way in a very clear manner. Now, how would you prepare yourself to tell the story effectively? How would you prepare? You'd master the content of the narrative in your memory so that you don't forget. You would rehearse in front of the mock audience or in front of a mirror. Of course, now it's mostly the reason. Now, these answers here, they are not very clearly or they've not been written in the right way. So if you're looking at the answers, I want you to know that when you're presenting your answer, to master the content of the narrative so that you don't forget, so that I don't forget some parts when I am presenting, you must finish your answer that way. Patrick has a question. I hope you, when I try to unmute you, you can, okay, ask.
I wanted to ask that you said, okay, the previous question, how will you say? Does it only limit you to verbal cues?
Sorry?
Dude, okay, at the previous question it asked that, how would you say?
That is which question? How would you?
How will you say the words of the wolf and the little girl in the narration?
Uh-huh.
Does it only limit you to verbal cues?
No, there's nonverbal. The pointing gesture is a nonverbal, right?
Yes.
Do you see that point?
Yes, I did not see it.
I see the wolf's words with a rising intonation. It is a yes or no question in a deep, hoarse voice and a pointing gesture. You see? And I even illustrated and said where you would point when saying carrying, are you carrying the basket to your grandmother? So you'd be pointing to the basket. Are we together? For the girls, the words of the girl, I would use a falling intonation because it is a statement, and then use a shrill voice. Now, in the girl also, you could perhaps also mention an nonverbal cue of nodding your head in agreement, because when you're saying yes, I am, so you can nod your head in agreement. So it doesn't mean that you only restrict yourself to verbal cues, even the non-verbal cues. These are questions that we have done before. Okay, I hope I've answered you. Okay. Somebody is asking a question here. I'm also, when I ask to unmute, you must also accept. Okay, maybe his question has been answered. We move to the next question. Now, I was saying that in this question, these answers are not very complete. So I would master the content of the narrative so that I don't forget some parts during the narration. Rehearse or practice in front of a mock audience or in front of the mirror to gain confidence. I would practice proper pronunciation of words, word stress and intonation, for the verbal cues to enhance my presentation. You can also now go to another, you can split that point and say practice on use of gestures, facial expressions, and any other form of dramatization to enhance the performance. Of course, choose an appropriate costume that is relevant to the message and familiarize myself with the stage. Now we are assuming that you're presenting this, of course, before an audience, so there is a stage. So it's just like the way you guys have been going for drama. When you're going for drama and you're presenting a play, when you get to the venue, the first thing you do is move around the stage to see, and you start positioning. If this character, you will enter through this door, and then this character, you stand here, this character, you come through this. That's what we are calling familiarizing yourself with the stage. Those who have participated in drama, you have also had to master the content. When you're presenting an oral narrative during the drama competitions, why do you have to do all the practice that you do in the evening? It is for you to master the content so that you don't forget. Why do you rehearse every time in the evening? There's a rehearsal. We are going for practice. That your teacher is there, or your colleagues, your friends are there. Why? To build confidence. Again, if maybe it is like in the chorus you've been given, there could be a word that you don't know the pronunciation. So you have to go and look for the pronunciation. You have to identify the kind of intonation you have to use here. If there are gestures, you have to identify. How will I say, young girl? Are you carrying that basket to your grandmother? What gestures am I going to use? It is all that in preparation for the performance. And there's, of course, the issue of costume. If you are presenting this, you need a costume that speaks and that is appropriate, of course, sends a message. Again, with that, I want to now have somebody, maybe I can just, go through the pronunciation of the words here. We are looking for words that are pronounced the same as this. And I remember the other time, again, I told you that this question on pronunciation can either come in terms of silent letters or the homophones or the consonant sounds or vowel sounds. And I said that in the consonant sounds, we are looking for sounds like dental sounds. We are looking for alveolar palatal sounds. We are looking for affricates and fricatives. All those are in book 1. You get them there. Those are the sounds that the examiner is going to ask. It can be one or both. Now here we are looking for pronunciation of words spelled differently but pronounced the same. So we have bald, we have manna, cornel, and liar. So the answers are here. There is no formula here. You just have to do a lot of practice. If this answer is stroked, but I would advise you don't stroke. Just give one answer. If you stroke and then give an alternative that is wrong, that will be termed as guesswork. So just give 1 point. Go to the next one. This is like the kind of question you had in the other exam. We have the voiced and the voiceless sound th. The same as the voiced and the voiceless sh and j, as in 10th. Sugar, special, father, garage, mathematics, leisure, themselves. And we have the answers there. Here you just need to do a lot of practice. Remember, these are alveolar dental sounds, alveolar palatal sounds, but there are other consonant sounds that I have prepared. You'll see in the final slide. But these are the ones that may confuse you mostly. These others, s and z and k, those ones are quite easy. They shouldn't trouble any one of you. So do a lot of practice on this. Also check on the vowel sounds, the long vowels, the short vowels, the diphthongs, even the triphthongs. Go through them, because you can, of course, find questions that are addressing the long vowels, the short vowels, or the diphthongs. So you have to, and the monophthongs also. So do a lot of practice on sounds. The consonant sounds. Consonant sounds, I have said, look for the dental sounds, look for alveolar palatal sounds, all of them should either be fricatives or affricates. Those are the ones that are tested mostly. And then, of course, the k sounds, the velar sounds, k, g, they are velar because they are pronounced. In Kiswahili, you've done these ones. They are pronounced from the back of the tongue. And then look, there's something else now in the sounds also called labialization. These are words that will change. For example, we shall see where we have boys becoming boys. You expect those questions also. All that is in consonant sounds, so you have to revise on all those areas. Then come now to vowel sounds. Look for vowel, short vowels and long vowels. Short vowels like in bin, bin, and long in like in bean. It's a long vowel. Look for monophthongs and diphthongs. For example, a monophthong is just a sound, cap, a, the inverted a, and then there's a, as in bed. You have to do more practice on those ones. They're actually in book 1, so if you can get the integrated English book 1, it will guide you very well. I'm sure they're in the library. Then you go to a question on negotiation skills. Now in this question, a leader of a theater group is visiting your school to arrange for the staging of literature set books. You have been appointed by the class to negotiate for favorable entry fee for your class, and you are meeting the leader for the first time. Explain 4 negotiation skills that you will employ to ensure that it is a success. The question may have been incomplete there. And I want to invite somebody to give us some answers to that question. I know you may have let's hear from you. Somebody is asking if I sent the marking scheme to the other paper. Yes, I did, please. You can consult your teacher. He has the marking scheme. Even this one I'll send later. Okay, who can take us through? All right. Alvin from Form 4 Harvard. Alvin? Alvin? We are waiting on you, Alvin. Okay. Alvin has disappeared.
Yes.
Melvin?
Yes.
Take us through that question on negotiation skills.
A leader of a theater group is visiting your school to arrange for the staging of literature set books. You have been appointed by the class to negotiate for favorable entry fee for your class, and you are meeting the leader for the first time. Explain 4 negotiation skills that you would employ to ensure.
Of course, the success or that you're successful in the negotiation. Can you give us some negotiation skills that you know that you would use? Do you have any answers? Melvin? Who would like to try? Even before I give you the answers.
One, you can maybe say, I would reach the leader of the theater group to create rapport.
Uh-huh. That's correct. Move on, or you had only that point?
Okay. So the next one, I would support my argument, or I would support the likely fee with facts.
Mm-hmm.
The next point, I would compromise some of my requests so that I may ensure a win-win situation.
Now, those are two different points there, Kipchumba.
How so?
Compromising and win-win situation.
How should I have put it instead?
Now, I'm just saying those are two different points, huh? That
Yes.
you would come to a compromise,
Yeah.
and of course, then now the issue of ensuring that everything you do, you work towards a win-win situation. Now, I'm just saying you separate those points so that you don't deny yourself 2 marks.
Or so what would be the effectiveness of compromising?
It is to create a positive atmosphere for negotiation.
Okay.
Mm. Now, because you've tried and you've done very well, how about to take us through the answers that I'm about to share? Can you take us through them? Okay, Kipchumba has left. Let's see this one. Take us through that. Now, when you raise your hand and then you don't accept the unmuting. Okay, Alvin,
Es-
take us through the answers.
Establish rapport with the leader to lead good grounds for negotiations.
Yes, just allow me to interrupt you. And that is now what Kipchumba was saying. I would greet to create a rapport. That is good. Continue.
Respect each other's opinion and show goodwill.
To show goodwill. That's a mistake. It's to show goodwill.
Be willing to compromise to with the leader or ceding ground. Interrupt and disappoint politely to give atmosphere for negotiations. Observe turn taking to avoid necessary interruptions.
That is
Create
unnecessary.
a win-win situation or
to satisfy each party. Okay. Now you see now here you've not been. Yeah. Thank you. Alvin. Thank you. So you realize now in this question, it is not like the one we tackled previously, where we were given a dialogue and then we were asked to identify the negotiation skills. Here, the examiner has asked you for the negotiation skills that you know. The first is always creating a rapport. To establish a rapport, you greet, or if it is the other person who is greeting you, you respond to the greetings. And the negotiation doesn't always have to be about you buying something. It could be like the question we have here. It could be maybe at home, where you had planned to go and visit your friend in the afternoon, but then your parent tells they give you some tasks to do, and you're asked now what question. I mean, your parent tells you you have to do this, and you're saying no, I have to go and visit my friend. So you both have to negotiate and ensure a win-win situation. Somebody, Alvan has a question. Okay. All right, we go to the next presentation. The next question. So we have identified the issue of establishing a rapport. It is by greeting. You have to greet and receive the greetings. then respect the opinion of the other person. If you're buying a phone and the person tells you that no, this mobile phone is perhaps 40,000 and you had a budget of 15, don't start to trash it and say, oh, it has this or it is there. Always ensure you respect the opinion of the other person. If you are the seller and the buyer tells you that I only have 10,000 shillings, just accept and respect and say that 10,000 is not, it's not really less amount or little money, it's good money. But then, unless now we look for another model that can fit in here. So the language that you use has to show respect. If maybe it's a negotiation where you want to go for this party in the evening, mom is saying you have to do dishes, you have to assist in the chores in the house, then also be willing to compromise. For you to come to a win-win situation, you must be willing to compromise. Now, willingness to compromise is at a different level. So you can tell mom, okay, how about I do the chores now? I can clean the dishes now, and then I will mop the house when I come from the party. So all that is in a bid for you to try and compromise. Ensure there's a win-win situation so that you're satisfied. Mom says, okay, then if you can do the dishes now, go to the party, then come and clean the house. That is okay. So you realize now everybody has won in that situation, that case. Of course, you interrupt politely. Just allow me to ask this when I am just here. It's a very simple question. When do you interrupt politely? Who can answer that question for us? What instances are you allowed to interrupt? Because when it comes to turn taking, we say you don't interrupt another person. But there are some instances where one has to really interrupt. Who can give us those? There are about 3. Okay, good. Joseph?
When you strongly disagree with what the speaker said.
Mm-hmm. 3. Okay. Joseph, amesema when you're disagreeing with somebody. I'm looking for another person. Alvin?
When your opinion is not, when the person's opinion is not really
Yes? Okay, well, let me just summarize them for us so that we can save on time. Okay, can give somebody else one chance.
When seeking clarification.
Very good. Now, those are the answers. Yes, when you're seeking clarification. Mnapeana moja, mtu anapotea.
When the speaker misinterprets facts.
Okay, that is now when maybe the speaker gives a wrong information and you can interrupt to correct, right?
Yes.
To make a correction, to seek clarification. If ever you didn't hear or a certain point was, not, or the speaker was not clear, so you can interrupt to seek clarification, to make a correction, to make an addition. Now, a correction is where you will disagree. Those are the 3 main that the rubric in the neck is going to allow. You're making a correction, you're seeking clarification, or you would want to make an addition. Normally, that's a question that will come either 2 or 3 marks. And of course, you know how you interrupt. I think we are going to, I think this is the presentation that has a question on how we are perhaps going to interrupt. How do you interrupt politely? If you must interrupt, how do you do so politely? Okay, Alvin, you have something else to say?
Could you please repeat the answers?
I said when you're making a correction, now this is now where perhaps somebody has given some information and then that information is not clear. Thank you. Somebody has already given the answers here. When you're making correction, when you're seeking clarification, or when you're making some additional information. That is now where somebody has said this and you feel some points are missing. So you're allowed to interrupt to add some information. And I was saying there are, of course, the different ways that are only allowed for you to interact. We shall see them here, actually. You'll see them. Okay, we go to the next presentation. Thank you for sharing that on the chat here. The next one. Study the situations and write what you would say in each case. I think this is something very easy. This is just etiquette. When walking along the corridor, you accidentally bump into somebody out of your own clumsiness. You are engaging in a conversation and you catch yourself interrupting the other person. You want to introduce a point during a discussion which contradicts what the other person has said. I want to give this chance to somebody who can take us, because this is very easy. Your hand is up. Take us through. How would you respond to those four instances? It's just etiquette. Muraya, your hand is up, and I want to unmute you to take us through that. Alvan, Muraya, I don't know why. Can you accept to be unmuted? Okay. You've muted again.
Yes.
Just before you begin, somebody is asking here, how do you interrupt politely? By saying, I beg to differ, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, pardon my interruption. Simple as that. Somebody does that on the chat. So, Alvan, you can continue.
Yes.
Take us through what you would say in these three scenarios that we have here. Mariah.
Yes,
Hello, are you with us? I don't know what's happening. Are you unmuting? All right. Okay, let's see. There's Alvin Cadillo here who wants to answer.
When walking along the corridor, you accidentally bump into somebody out of your own clumsiness. I will apologize for bumping into the person.
What would you say? The question is, what would you say?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry for my clumsiness or something like that.
Okay, but you not write or something like that in the exam, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're engaging in a conversation, you catch yourself interrupting the other person. I beg to differ, but, and then you say what you wanted to say. You want to introduce a point during a discussion which contradicts the other person what the other person has said. I feel like the second one and the third one are the same.
Just tell us what you would say in the third one. I'll share the answers with you here, and then you will now discuss them to the others. I just want to hear your opinion.
Okay.
What would you say?
Okay, the same as the second one. I beg to differ, but, and then you continue.
The question is, you want to introduce a point during a discussion which contradicts what the other person has said. So you'd say, I beg to differ.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then introduce a point.
Okay, now I have shared the answers with you. You can now explain them a bit to us.
The first one, I'm sorry.
Let me take you back to, yeah, that one was very correct. The second one was, when walking along the corridor, that one is correct. You are engaging in a conversation and you catch yourself interrupting another person. So somebody was saying something, like I'm giving you a story of yesterday. I was in town and I saw there was this park and there were so many people, and then you bring in something like, you think it's going to rain today, so you find yourself interrupting me while I am still speaking. So what would you say?
Sorry, you were saying something. Please proceed.
Okay, good. Now that is what I wanted. Don't just say, I'm sorry for interruption. Because you see, somebody was just talking and you're bringing in your own idea, which is not correct. So that question 2 and 3, the answers will be different. Now go through the answers for question 3.
I beg to differ, or allow me to give a different opinion, or what if we looked at it from this angle, or that's a good point, but, or fair enough, but.
Okay, you now get it? Yeah. So you realize that the answers are not the same for Roman 2 and 3, right?
Yes.
Yes. So when you interrupt somebody, like you are in a conversation and somebody is saying, you excuse yourself, you say, I'm sorry. You are saying, oh, I'm sorry, please proceed. But now when you want to give a point that is contradicting, is like you're in a discussion, you're discussing fathers of nations, and somebody says that Asia was the wife to Engineer Tahir. Now there you have to, you are going to interrupt the person. I beg to differ, or allow me to give a different opinion. What if we looked at it from this angle? All this is a polite way so that the other person does not feel bad. Okay, thank you.
Could I make a correction?
Yes, please.
Okay, I beg to differ with the way you say realize. It's supposed to be realize, not realize.
Come again? Sorry, I've not gotten your point. What's the problem? Okay, I did not get what he said. So we'll just move on. Now here we have guided writing. Guided writing here is where the examiner has already given you some parts for you to maybe ask the question. I mean, some parts have been given for you and you expect them to answer. That is what we call guided writing. Well, I don't know what the correction was about. I would like to hear, because I see it was a bit funny. Others are laughing. Now, the guided writing, we are going to need some people to read, just somebody to take us through the teacher, because the you has not been answered. So we'll have somebody taking us through the you. And we have, okay.
Why were you reading this kind of trash during the lesson? And innuendo, I guess.
Just continue to read. Where there are no answers, just leave it.
My question is why you are reading, not what you intended to do. Or what you have the nerve to just dismiss it as a joke.
Are you through? Peter, are you through? Okay, so now in this guided writing, of course, we are going to be guided by what the teacher says to identify what you says. The teacher is saying, is holding out the magazine. Now, this student, or the you here, was reading the magazine during the class lesson. Why were you reading this kind of trash during the lesson? And innuendo, I guess. Then you respond to that. The teacher proceeds. My question is why you are reading, not what you intended to do. So now, what is the teacher says here? We must it must have a relation to what you have said in one above, in the first blank space above. And then you respond a what? You have the nerve to just dismiss it as a joke. Sir, I am, you feel that. The teacher walking away, follow me to the deputy principal's office. There you can explain better what you mean by calling it an oversight. And you plead desperately. We have to see that pleading desperately from the answers that you write there. And the teacher says, I just can't get myself to sort anything with you. Do as I say. And then, of course, you says this and the teacher responds, all right then, but be careful not to compromise that which you can't keep. Not to promise, sorry, that which you can't keep. Last pardon, And as you have said, bring your updated notebook at latest 4 o'clock this evening. So let us just see. Or somebody here can just help us to go through the answers that we have there. We'll share that with you. Now, the first one, where we are told the teacher says, what were you reading? Why were you reading this kind of trash during the lesson? And innuendo, I guess. So the response here, the candidates must give a lame excuse. G, the candidate can say, teacher, I did not intend to read it. I was just looking at the cover. So let's see how this will go. Why were you reading this kind of trash during the lesson? An innuendo, I guess. And then you respond and saying that, teacher, I was not, what did the answer say? I did not intend to read it. I was just looking at the cover. My question is why you were reading, not what you intended to do. So that means in the space above, we must talk of the word intention. What was your intention? Because the question, the answer from the teacher is not what I intended to do. So we intend to see the word intend has to be there. It was not my intention, or I did not intend to. I was just looking at the cover. I did not intend to read. You have to mention the word intend there. Then we go to the next one. Now the next page, the teacher says, my question is why you are reading, not what you intended to do. And then you say something. And the teacher says, a what? You have the nerve to dismiss it as a joke. So we expect the word joke to be there. So our answer, the candidate must dismiss the teacher jokingly. E.g., teacher, I was not serious in reading the magazine. It was just a joke. So we have to see that. And remember that these conversations must be very polite and courteous. If you, in your own way, decide to use your creativity and be rude to the teacher, that does not promote the morals and the etiquette of this paper. So you are not going to get any answer. In as much you are going to get a 0 tick. So in as much as the candidate is doing the wrong thing, the candidate is dismissing it jokingly, not in a disrespectful manner. Then a what? You have the nerve to dismiss it as a joke. Sir, I am. The teacher is walking away and says, follow me to the deputy principal's office. And there you can explain better what you mean by calling it an oversight. So we are looking for the word oversight. Sorry. Okay, the candidate must use the word oversight. Yeah, you say, sir, I am sorry, it was just an oversight. I was about to update my notes. So we have to see the word oversight again being used. The instructions here are very clear. So you just need to ensure that you write what the examiner is expecting of you. Okay, then the next piece is you pleading desperately. What we expect, the candidate must plead with the teacher and try to justify his or her actions, not to be taken to the deputy principal's office. So here perhaps you can say, please forgive me, teacher. I just wanted to relax my mind a little bit. Or please, teacher, let us sort it out here, not in the deputy's office. So we have to see you pleading so that you're not taken to the deputy principal's office. We have to see the pleading. Teacher says, I just can't get myself to sort anything with you. Do as I say. So what have you said? So that the teacher will respond and say, all right then, but be careful not to promise that which you can't keep. So there has to be a promise above there. Last pardon. And as you have said, so again, you have to say that you're going to bring the updated notes. So teacher says it is by latest 4 o'clock. Again, now we can try and fit our answer there. The candidate must make a promise and request for last pardon. Please, sir, I promise I will be done with notes by 4 o'clock and bring them to you. Give me the last warning and I'll never repeat the mistake. So again, those two things have to be there. Say when you take the notes and plead for a last warning. So if you don't give the last warning, if you don't promise that you're going to bring the updated notes at this particular time, again, there will be no score for you. Then the last part that remains undone is you are almost kneeling. What if the teacher has pardoned you and allowed you to take the notes at the time you have suggested? You say, thank you, sir, for understanding. I won't fail you again. So this is a guided writing where you are expected to make your own, it's a guided writing where you expected that the writings of what the person says before and after, your response has to address both issues there. Now, at that point, I want to give some further work, like I said the other time. Like now, I want you to look at these words, and then you can tell me which of these words falls under this and the z. That one I'm not going to answer. I want you to do the answering. So we have one person who can take us through that. Who can take us through that question? Yes,
Classify
Elvis?
the words below according to the pronunciation of the sounds z and s. Excuse me, miss, am I audible?
Sorry?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Elvis. Continue.
Okay, so the first word is C. It will be under the pronunciation z, s, sorry, s. The second word is raise, pronunciation z, the s. Misa, pieces, waste.
Is that
and
Misa or Misa? You said Misa or Misa?
Misa.
Mm-hmm.
Pieces, the S.
Mm-hmm.
Waste, the S.
Mm-hmm.
And days, the Z.
This is sound Z, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now when I was talking about the consonant sounds, and I said that there's a part of pronunciation that is called labialization. It is very easy for you to. Somebody has a question for you, Elvis, or for the class. Let's see. Okay, I think nobody has a question. Okay, some hands were up. I thought somebody was asking a question. All right, thank you for that, Elvis. So Elvis has taken us through the pronunciation of the S and Z, and that's what I was saying. There's something about labialization where the S sound becomes the Z sound. We can have somebody else taking us through this question. The last but not the least, you give us the answers. Maiza, Z. It's not S, Maiza. Was it said as Maisa? It is Maiza. It's a Z. Okay, who can take us through the other question there, please? Elvis has taken us through that other one. Any other person who can take us through that? Even if you don't have the answers, we shall discuss them here.
Your neighboring school has invited you as a guest speaker to give a talk on drug abuse. At the end of the speech, the students commented that the talk was delivered. Give reasons why they commented so.
Yes, you can take us through some answers, and I want to hear them coming from you, not just you
Okay.
alone. Mm-hmm.
They commented so. This is because I was audible enough, hence they could clearly hear what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I observed meaningful eye contact, hence be able to concentrate during the talk.
I cannot hear you. You're breaking a little.
I maintained meaningful eye contact, hence they were able to concentrate during the speech, during the talk.
Those answers are correct, but these are questions that are so many answers, so maybe we can hear from the others. Now, you talked about varying your tone, if I heard you correctly. The answers that Alvin has given are correct. Any other person would like to make some additions? That answer has almost 10. That question has almost 10 answers. Anyone else who would like to add to what Alvin has shared? For example, we can talk of, because this is a speech that was delivered, the speaker had a captivating introduction and conclusion. The speaker may have effectively used tone of variation, must have been audible or projected his voice was to be heard, used nonverbal cues to enhance or to complement the speech or the words that he was now sharing. Of course, must have used a good, appropriate choice of words. But the words that he used, they were words that of course, the audience could understand. Whenever you're preparing for speech, because you can also be asked this kind of question in future, when you're asked, now you're preparing for a speech or you have been told you're going to give a speech, how do you prepare? Among the things that you do in preparation for a speech is getting to know your audience, and getting to know your audience in terms of their level of understanding, so that you know the kind of language you're going to use. If somebody is coming to speak to students at Mangu High School, the kind of language is going to use is not the same kind of language that you use to speak to students at Kuraya Primary. And of course, it's not the kind of language that will be used to speak to students at Nairobi University. So it is good to know your audience, even their age, so that you know the kind of topic you're going to talk to them. The topics that are relevant to children in primary are not the same that are relevant to children in high school or students in high school, and also at the university level. So when we talk about choice of words, you cannot go to give a speech and then just use very heavy words, heavy vocabulary, and then you will not have delivered your speech. It will not be effective. So it is good that we talk about the proper choice of words. And then he talked about maintaining meaningful eye contact. And of course, that is just so that you ensure that you have that connection with your audience. Sometimes you can also be asked a question on etiquette, like why it is important to maintain eye contact during a conversation. Or sometimes you can be asked the importance of maintaining eye contact. Of course, maintaining eye contact, what does it communicate? If somebody looks away, what does it communicate? That the person is either lying, is shy, or things like that. So these are questions that can come in any other way. Then when you're delivering your speech, also learn to use long and short pauses. Remember, we said that short pauses are mainly to create anticipatory mood among the audience. Long pauses, we use a long pause for the narrator or for the speaker to catch a breath. The audience also can use that long pause to reflect on what message has been given, the message that has been shared. Now, still going on. We've said you can use of long pause and short pause, and just know that they have different they have different purposes, or they serve a different role. Alvin has a question. I'm unmuting you, Alvin, but kind of you're not accepting. I don't know why. Maybe involve the students in asking questions. May have involved
Excuse
the
me.
students. Yes.
When you're supposed to use a short pause or a long pause during a short pause, you're supposed to use it during a comma.
A short pause is when there's a comma. And sometimes you see, like now, if we have a narrative, you can see like once upon a time, then there's a comma. That is a short pause. We cannot say that the audience are reflecting or the narrator is catching a breath. That is just to create an anticipatory mood. The audience are anticipating for what you're going to say next. Now the long pause will come
What about
where
the long pause?
the long pause will come where there's either a dash or a hyphen, sometimes even a full stop. And now that one is like now for the audience to like reflect on what you have just said, and like now for the narrator or the speaker to catch a breath. Even you, if you're making this presentation here, Alvin, at some point you may have to actually take a long pause, either so that you can catch your breath and continue, or so that we can take that moment to understand what you have said. So the difference between, remember, you have been used to talking of a dramatic pause or pregnant pause. Those are not accepted by the NEC. What NEC acknowledges is either a short pause or a long pause. And the long pause, I've said, it is for the narrator to catch a breath, the audience to reflect on what the narrator or the speaker said, and the short pause is just to create an anticipatory mood. And a short pause can come even at the beginning. Once upon a time, comma, that's a short pause. Okay, I hope I've answered your question, Alvin.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I said again, I use correct pronunciation. The speaker may have delivered, because he used correct pronunciation, was neat and composed during the presentation. Was neat and composed during the presentation. Yes, there's a question from Joseph.
Can we also say that a short pause is used to create suspense?
Okay, I was avoiding the word suspense. I thought somebody may talk of suspense, but really now, like when we have in a narrative, once upon a time, and there's a comma, is there suspense there really? No, but there's that anticipation, isn't it? But now, like if it is deep in the story, and then there he was, that one can create some suspense, you see, used as a comma, but then deep in the story, not at the beginning. You get the difference?
Yeah, I get it. Thank you.
Yeah. Now somebody is asking here again, how do you know it is a short or a long pause? I think I've already explained. Alvin asked that question. That a short pause is where there's a comma, and a long pause is where we have either a dash or a full stop. Okay, we move on. We are almost coming to an end. Those who are getting very restless. Now, this is the last question, and I want somebody to take us through it. You're going to give us the answers. You can take a second to go through it. All right. Now, who is this saying, I am a girl? Let us hear the girl in her. Yes, speak. Take us through. Some people are just joking.
Okay. So.
Okay. It's actually a girl.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm a girl. But anyways, so you attend a prize giving ceremony in your school. When the chief guest is speaking, you're noticing that he is sweating profusely. He is inaudible and he stammers a lot and avoids eye contact with his audience. What will be the cause of such behavior?
Give us the answers. You read the question. Give us the answers. Okay, somebody who can give us the answers.
You can say that he did not prepare well.
That is absolutely correct. That the speaker did not prepare. Now, preparation in terms of, that answer may be a little vague. We have to say, did not prepare what?
He did not.
I know you have the answer. There's that inadequate preparation, yes, eh?
Yeah.
Perhaps his speech, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe we can say he did not prepare his speech well enough in front of a mock audience.
Mhm.
Okay.
That is correct. I agree. That point that did not prepare or was in that inadequate preparation on the part of the speaker. Perhaps even did not master the content of the speech, may have even forgotten, may have had problems with pronunciation, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. Any other point you have, Joseph?
Not for now. Thank you.
Okay. Any other person? You did not have, let's hear what you're saying.
Can you see that he lacks confidence?
Okay, so what comes at what brings about the confidence?
The confidence
Perhaps
is brought about by
yes, sorry.
okay. The confidence is brought about by having a well-prepared speech.
No. Yeah, so that's what we are saying. If he had not prepared for the speech well to master the content, so he gets there, he starts forgetting things, and then of course that means there is no confidence on him. What about maybe on the side of the audience? Could there be a problem with the audience? Sam Bosira is asking, what if we say he has stage fright? Stage fright is wrong. We can talk of an unexpected audience. I think some of you are not even able to speak during assemblies where you have to stand before the entire Mangu fraternity among Uyote in the amphitheater, and you expect them to give a speech. Some of you will start sweating or their hands will start shaking. The voice can even be hoarse if there was an unexpected audience. Today we tell you, Alvin, you're going to give a speech at Starehe Boys, you'll be talking to the Form 2s there. The first question you ask is, how many are they? So now if you are told that you'll be talking to maybe a group of 50 boys, you go there with the mindset that the kind of audience you're meeting is this. But then you get there and things have changed and you're told, I think it is better you address the whole school. What is the population of the whole school? 2,000. I mean, you start now getting tests. Am I going to deliver? There's that self-doubt that comes. So unexpected audience, somebody is asking, what about poor dressing? That is correct. We can talk of inadequate, if the speaker was inadequately dressed. And you see this happens if you didn't groom well, and then you get to an audience and then you start being intimidated. You thought when you left the house, you thought you looked so smart, but then now when you get there, you realize that people are dressed in this particular way and your mode of dressing is different. So if you are to go and to speak to the boys at Starehe Boys Center, and when you get there, they're all putting on their official uniform, they have their blazers, they have their ties, their shoes are shining, only to realize you got there in shorts and in a vest. I mean, you realize, you feel you're the odd one out here. So again, your confidence goes down and your delivery also is going to be affected. Now I want to summarize the points. The point is that inadequate preparation in terms of researching on the topic, getting the pronunciation of words, if there is an unexpected audience, if the speaker was inadequately dressed and this lowers the self-confidence or the esteem, or if the speaker lacked content. You're told you go to speak today to boys on discipline. What are you going to say? Even you right now, if somebody tells you to stand up and speak on this question, on this particular topic, if you don't have the content, you start sweating. This question can also be asked how you would prepare for an impromptu speech. These questions are very wide. So because of time, I'm just going to what about inappropriate feedback from the audience? Not really. We are talking about unexpected audience in terms of, it can either be in terms of numbers or the age. Inappropriate feedback from the audience cannot make you sweat unless you are not well prepared. Let's get a question from Hugo. And then we can wind up. In an exam scenario, can you talk of a medical condition? No. Hugo, you had a question?
You were about on the side of the audience.
Come again?
What if you say that the audience do not maintain a meaningful contact?
I cannot get you. Please ask your question again. I cannot hear you.
I was about to ask, what if the audience did not maintain a meaningful contact? You were about to say outside of the audience.
But can that really make you sweat if the audience is not looking at you? The problem has to be with the presentation. The only thing with the audience is if it is unexpected. So inappropriate eye contact there will not work. If you look at the question that was asked, the question was, you are sweating profusely. You are even stammering and you are avoiding eye contact with the audience. So here it is a case of lack of preparation in terms of topic, content, research. You have no content at all, or what can lack of confidence, either because of the way you're dressed. Those are things that can, those will be the correct answers. Okay. Ask. Somebody is asking me to summarize the answers again. I'm saying that inadequate preparation, the speaker did not adequately prepare in terms of research to get the content of the speech. The speaker may have found an unexpected audience, perhaps in terms of numbers, or the speaker was inadequately dressed and this lowered his self-esteem. The speaker lacked content on the topic that he was talking or she was presenting. Those are the answers there. Okay, I'm trying to take the final question. Yes, your hand is up. The final question, I'm winding up the lesson now. Okay, it seems there's no question really because nobody is talking. So otherwise, thank you so much for your time. And let's see each other when schools open. Thank you for your participation, for those who have read, those who have answered, and those who have maintained good discipline during the class. I appreciate that. I came to realize somebody had a problem with my pronunciation of R and L. Yes, it's all right. As long as the message is home, I hope that is okay, Alvin. You got my points. You understood what I was saying. That was the objective. Have a nice afternoon, guys and girl. See you another time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I'm a girl. You should give us your Instagram. I'm a girl. Give us your Instagram.